Good day, everybody. My name is Mike Deranger. I'm the owner of Derantech Welding, Derantech Industries. My company has been in business now for almost 20 years in the region. We work primarily out on the site there at Suncor. We've worked at Firebag, Fort Hills, Base Mine, CNRL2 as well. And the work that we have done primarily has been plant maintenance. Skilled trade development is the work that we do. So when I say skilled trade development, I mean like skilled trade apprenticeship development for a program that we started for Indigenous apprentices. So at one point we were hiring and apprenticing Indigenous people from across Canada. The work that we've done has primarily been welding, millwright, pipe fitting, turnaround, shutdown, construction too as well. So as an Indigenous contractor, there's two things that happen in the region. You have the support for Indigenous development, which is good, but you also have another scenario that's happening now too, which is Indigenous development for non-Indigenous companies that obtain a certification that they're an Indigenous company. So they're actually become the biggest challenge for our Indigenous companies in the region, and they're actually the fastest growing small businesses out there in our region. And that's become a challenge for us small business people. And we need to find ways to work around that, and we need to find ways to put the focus back on our entrepreneurs in the region, back on the young people that we have here, because Indigenous people in Canada represent the fastest growing demographic of young people out there. We need to create more opportunities, primarily in our region, maybe across Canada too. A lot of our work is based on local Indigenous content. And that local Indigenous content is shrinking because the majority of our populations now are no longer on our reserves. They're moving to the cities. Wherever the work is outside the reserve, that's where our people move to. So we have a huge growing population in Edmonton, actually, which is now the second largest population of Indigenous people in Canada. So we have a huge resource of young people in Edmonton that we're not utilizing and mobilizing the way we should be, because the focus is no longer on them. The focus now is on our joint venture partners, associate members, and those companies out there who actually obtain a certification for Indigenous development, but really do not contribute back into the community. Some of these companies do not even hire one single Indigenous person in their company. And the work that they've primarily given to our young people in the region has been short-term work, seasonal work, no career development. And the focus of Derantech has always been career development. So the standard in the region is 10% Indigenous development. I flip that around and I put a 90% focus on Indigenous development, 10% focus on non-Indigenous development. And that, to me, as an Indigenous company, is my responsibility in the region to support my young people and move forward. If these Indigenous companies out there who claim to be Indigenous are not hiring one single Indigenous person or do not have any Indigenous development programs, then we shouldn't support those companies at all, period. And we shouldn't give them certification either to continue their work. That now is the biggest detriment to Indigenous business in the region. Derantech is still committed to working in the region. Derantech is still committed to supporting my Indigenous people in the skilled trades. And in order to do that, you need support. You need support from industry out there, Suncor, Syncrude, CNRL, all the players out there. They need to put a focus back on our entrepreneurs in the region. To me, that's the key to success and ongoing. We've done a great job for the last 30 years. But we've kind of come to a point now where things aren't working the way they need to be, and we need to change that around. And when that change happens, it'll be beneficial to everybody, not just our young Indigenous people, but our Indigenous development programs as a whole, and the relationships that we built on for the last 30 years, we now make those stronger for the next 30 years. The success of Derantech is largely based on contracts. Like any other business in the region, the contract is so important to our small businesses. In order to grow and flourish, you need more contracts. Small contracts, short-term contracts, that's not the key to our success. If a company does good work, then the company should be able to be supported and to be able to grow, be allowed to bid on more contracts, because that is a success to the Indigenous businesses. I'm a first-generation business owner in the region, and the success of a first-generation business is largely based on the size of the contract, the duration of the contract, in order to be successful. So the second financial institution supports us. That support is based on the growth of our company, the growth of our contracts, and that's very important to our businesses. If we don't have the contracts, then we fail. If you give an Indigenous business a tiny little contract that they're unable to grow, that initial support and to provide a solid structure of which to build on and some structured growth, that's very important to a small business. Thank you to all those who've supported me. Thank you all those who have stuck beside me. If you want to get a hold of me, by all means, please. My number is 780-799-1023. My email is mike.deranger@derantech.com. My website is www.derantech.com. The intent of Derantech is to support Indigenous development in the skilled trades. So if that's the kind of partnerships that you're looking for and that's the kind of work that you're looking for, Derantech has a 20-year track record, an awesome history.